This man has worked his whole life at Holy Moly, and yet the most exciting thing that ever happened to him was brushing past Peaches Geldof in a lift. Well, all that's about to change. We've sent him to Pixar Studios in America. Pixar, the groundbreaking Oscar-winning animation studio that's brought us such film classics as this, not this, and this. But we're not here to talk about those. This summer, Pixar are releasing a sequel to their most successful film. But what is it?
Which Pixar movie would you most like to see a sequel to?
I'd like to see Toy Story 4.
Another Finding Nemo?
Ratatouille.
You're an idiot.
No, we're here to talk about Cars 2. There are some parts of Pixar where we weren't allowed to film, but we did meet these lovely people, all of whom have the best jobs in the world.
Hello, I am Nathan Stanton. I'm the head of story on Cars 2.
My name is Julie Brownville, and I'm an animator here at Pixar.
I'm Jay Ward. My role on this film is called the Cars Franchise Guardian.
I'm Sean Krause. I'm a supervising animator on Cars 2.
And I'm Dave Mullins, supervising animator, the other one, on Cars 2.
And they attempted to explain to us how you draw a car. We really didn't understand a word of it.
Human face. Here's like, I don't know how to draw a horse, but if you're going to draw a horse, it's like...
It's a rabbit horse.
Yeah, there. Or, this is horse, this is human.
What? Horse. It is the next movie. Now, as you see, Francesca's body shape does look like a horse head.
Hey, what's your strategy today?
Wait for Lightning McQueen to choke, then win. Francesco always wins. It's boring.
We actually shortened, because he is based on an F1 racer, but we had to shorten his body up so his mouth wouldn't be that far away from the eyes.
Right. We also met this man who has an impressive beard and an amusing t-shirt.
Fine, but when your surfaces look so real and are rendered so accurately, sometimes we increase the hood length, a lot of times we would reduce the hood length.
Like, hey, what's the right lug pattern for Hudson Hornet? Or does this car have drum brakes? And scale those up so they're all the same proportion.
It's not just some fantasy cartoon thing that, you can hit them with a giant mallet and they're going to be fine.
We also tend to make female characters have much larger, fuller hips.
But what we really wanted to know is how do cars reproduce?
I'm sorry, we have to turn off the video here.
That's one of the long list of questions we never ask ourselves. And there are many drawings that our story guys have done to implicate what it might be that you'll never see. But there's also how do they go to the bathroom, there's also how do they eat. That was one of the things we dealt with on Cars 2. We had a whole scene where they're at a restaurant and the things on the menu were basically car parts. But when we showed that scene to the audience, they felt it was like cannibalism for our characters. So inevitably we had to remove that from the scene.
There's certain questions we don't ask.
Well, in the whole world, it's like brevity is better, and what are taxis? What are crosswalks? What are?
Who's that for? Ow!
Well, how is there a dog on the nose of the Mack truck? What is a dog? Well, it must be like
a Mustang.
It's a unicorn. Yeah. It's a myth.
Where do baby cars come from? There are no baby cars, except for and then you'll turn around, John's like, okay, there's this little car here, and you're like, but I thought that was the rule, no baby cars.
So there's a metal mouth. What's his tongue?
Yeah.
Everyone at Pixar clearly loves their job, but there was one man we wanted to meet above all: Chief Creative Officer and Director of Cars 2, John Lasseter. But could we? Could we? Could we?
Hi, Holy Moly.
We tried our best to remain calm.
He's a little excited, isn't he?
Hi, I'm John Lasseter. You're here at Pixar Animation Studios, where I am commonly known as the Chief Creative Officer, whatever that means. And I'm the director of the upcoming Cars 2, the sequel to my movie Cars that was a few years ago. And welcome to Pixar. Why come back to Cars? Because I love the world we created. I love the characters we created. And I always feel like there's a tremendous opportunity for more stories in this world. The world of Cars, the first movie, is not contained in my mind in what you just see in the first movie. The world of Cars to me is as big as the world that you and I can be in. I mean, if we can go there, the cars can go there. But when the cars go there, because there are no humans in the world of cars, it's like, what would that world be, right? What would London be? What would Paris be? What would Tokyo be? What would the Italian Riviera be if it was just cars were there? And so that's what's been so fun with Cars 2. We also do a completely different type of movie than the original. And that is something I love to do at Pixar, of when we do a sequel, change the genre. Do something completely different, right? And so we're doing a spy movie. There's a number of things. One is the water, the surface water. Now, we did a whole movie with, fish as characters with Finding Nemo, but we were primarily underwater. The surface, we went above the surface a little bit, and it was good for the movie, but we really needed to solve kind of the surface, the organic nature of the ocean and the swells when you're out in the ocean, and to see that. And the effects team kind of went and found this new mathematical algorithm that this guy's come up with that sort of more truly simulates what's going on the surface of the ocean, which is really like serious swells going through. And they implemented it into our system, and it's really, and so when you see the water in Cars 2, you've never seen water like this in computer animation. It is really breathtaking. And so that's kind of a big one. But probably the most significant is really the level of detail of this film is greater than any Pixar film. I mean, there's more sets, more locations, more sets, and the detail of these sets, it's like cities. It's like full cities. When you see Porta Corsa, Italy, this town we made up on the Italian Riviera, you won't believe it. I mean, this thing, it's like you could travel there. And I kept telling all the folks that were making, these sets, I said, make it so beautiful you want to spend a week there. It used to be humans as main characters, but ever since The Incredibles, we kind of just tackled that head on. And because back when we were making Toy Story and A Bug's Life, humans were just the hardest thing to create. Our people are so good right now, and they're so accomplished, and our technology has grown so much that, and that's what Pixar is about. It's like everyone at Pixar lives for that day that will come to them and say, we don't know how to do this. Here, try to figure it out. They live for that because what's interesting about Pixar, and I think it's really a product of Northern California, Silicon Valley, Steve Jobs, George Lucas. It's all this belief that even though it's never been done before, it doesn't mean it can't be done, right? There's no one here that says, nah, it can't be done, right? And every movie we've made, there's aspects of it that no one's ever. It's something unlike anything you've ever seen before. Even the sequels, you look at all, Toy Story, then Toy Story 2 and Toy Story 3, and I tell you, there's things in both of those sequels that are unlike anything that's been done before it. And I think definitely looking at Cars and Cars 2, I don't think they're so different, in kind of the look and feel, but it still feels of the same world. And Cars 2 is the most complex, by far the most complex film Pixar's ever created. Bug's Life 2. I think you are the only person in the history of Pixar that has said, hey, why not a Bug's Life 2? It's honestly, it's so funny because it's one of our favorite films. At the history of Pixar, it is so meaningful to the studio because it was our second movie. Toy Story was this massive hit, the first computer animated feature film, the beginning of Buzz Lightyear and Woody and Andy and all the Andy's Toys, Journey and all that stuff. It's such a huge movie. And the second movie we did was A Bug's Life. And to us, it was one of the hardest films we ever made because it was an epic. It was widescreen. It was the entire world was organic, which at the time was so hard to do with computer animation. And so many of our top animators and artists started at the studio during A Bug's Life. There's a Bug's Life Appreciation Week here at Pixar, where everybody they wear their shirts that we gave to the crew back then. They put up posters and all that stuff. And we even got to the point where we brought some of the actors like Dave Foley, who did and Bonnie Hunt, who did Rosie, and they all come, and we did dramatic readings of scenes from A Bug's Life, and it was hilarious. And so there's a lot of love for A Bug's Life here at the studio, and I think it's still one of the most beautiful films we've made. Yeah, well, they're made at factories, so I don't know. We kind of stay away from that whole concept, If you look closely in the first movie, there's a little detail that kind of explains it, and that is in the courtroom of Radiator Springs, there's a painting to the side of Doc Hudson up on the wall. And it's one of those kind of like paintings that you see in civic places that kind of depict, kind of old imagery of like coming down from the heavens and stuff. And so the heaven is this old car factory, and all these cars kind of are in line coming out of the heavens down to earth and stuff. So it has this kind of funny, sort of funny sense of the factory, It's like kind of, you were trying to kind of give a sense of where they all come from. But we don't really go there. They do kiss.
But that's all.
That's something.
They don't go any further.
Welcome to London.
Is she American?
Being at Pixar was beyond our wildest dreams. It's like Willy Wonka's factory without the torture and dwarf slavery. But sadly, it's time for us to leave, for Pixar is not real life. It's better than that.
I like that. Holy moly. Holy moly. I say that quite a bit in my life. Holy moly.